Yo, what's good, everybody? Riftbound deck profile, first of many, perhaps. Anyway, I was planning on going to the Star City Games $10,000 Riftbound tournament this weekend, but it sold out. Unfortunately, by the time I had completed my deck, the tournament had sold out. So I'm going to show you guys the deck list I would have played. I'm going to explain some of the theory on it. Maybe you guys can pick something up from it. I think it's one of the best decks in the format, especially into the metagame right now. The meta could definitely shift to make this a bit tougher of a pick, but I think as of right now, it's the deck that I was going to go with for the 10K. First things first, you got your champion, Misfortune. You got to use the swagged out one because it looks cool. It's a little bit darker of a print than I would have liked maybe on a card this flashy, but it does look pretty nice. And then the Bounty Hunter skill, she doesn't have another skill as of right now. Giving stuff ganking does come up. The Misfortune actually does come up in some cases, but she is a bit weaker of a champion than Yi because of that recycle cost, unfortunately. For the runes, I don't have purple runes quite yet, but 5 orange and 7 purple. And there's a reason we go for this split, but you do need quadruple purple on some turns, but you don't necessarily need quadruple orange ever. You do need double orange, but not quadruple, so that's why we've gone with 5 orange, 7 purple, or 5 body, 7 chaos. I kind of have it divided up into like different roles of the cards. There's the removal role, for which we're playing 2 bullet time, 2 rebuke, 3 gust, and 3 fight or flight. We're not playing, fading memories in the main, but we are playing these cheap costed removal. I really like 3 gust and 3 fight or flight because they don't recycle your runes. Recycling runes feels really bad. I think the more and more I play this game, the less I want to be recycling runes. I want to be at maximizing my runes every single turn. And this deck, it has issues with having to recycle a lot and not playing on curve. So you definitely want to keep your interaction cheap. Rebuke is kind of just like 4th and 5th version of these. You do have to recycle, but it's a catch-all and it can deal with basically any unit, which is nice. It can hit more expensive units as well, which is really good. It's pretty good in the mirror as well. The gusts don't do anything in the mirror, unfortunately. You side them out, but you got to have them for like aggro decks game 1. And then bullet time is kind of like Pact of Negation in Magic the Gathering. If you guys have ever played Magic the Gathering, there's a card called Pact of Negation that says you counter a spell, but you have to pay 5 mana on your next turn or else you lose the game. This kind of feels like that. It feels like if you don't have guys in play, if you don't have something that's winning you the game in play, playing this card is securing yourself a loss. And so that's why I'm only playing 2. I have theorized only playing 1, but the Victor matchup is so bad that you probably just have to play 2. So that's it for the removal. I am playing 2 sort of pseudo removal in the main. I'm actually main decking 2 Sabotage. This is functionally like Duress from Magic the Gathering. If you guys have played Magic, you look at your opponent's hand and you take a non-unit card and you put it on the bottom of their deck, which is a good way of dealing with Aurora or counters to your Aurora. Set is main decking Sabotage. Obviously the Aurora Mirror, you want to be able to take it down. Certain decks, like they'll have like pump spells to maybe try to get that last 8th point or whatever. And so this card, it just helps rip their comeback card, or it helps rip their interaction with Aurora. And I think it's pretty critical in this deck. Yeah, when you're not on Obelisk of Power, when you're forced to go first, then this card is much better as well because you're kind of like off your curve out Aurora. And sometimes you just don't hit Aurora, and having access to something like this is good. Also being proactive and 1 cost is really nice because a lot of the times you'll have like 8 runes and you'll play a 7 rune guy, and then you can play this as well and just rip their hand. And it's like a nice second spell, which this deck wants a lot of. That's why all these cards are cheap. They're either 2 cost or less. The rest of the cards are going to be card draw. So the obvious one has 3 invert timelines. I've seen people play as low as 1 of this card. It's only really bad against like Jinx specifically, but the card itself pairs really well with this suite of removal. You'll use your gusts, you'll use your fight or flights early game, you'll burn a lot of card advantage, and then you'll be able to put their cards back in their hand, and then you can just hand loop them with invert timelines and reset the game. But at the point you're invert timelines, you have more mana, and so you're resetting the game at like more mana basically. So the concept is bounce their guys, discard it with invert timelines, and then bridge the gap into a late game Aurora while your opponent has no pressure or no points. That's the concept behind the build. I know that other people play it a little bit differently. They play different cards in this role, but I think that this is the most consistent and most powerful way to play this deck, especially because this card digs you towards Aurora if you don't already have it. And it also sets up for your Soul Gorger, which we are playing. 3-stack deck. This card goes without saying. I mean, it's one of the best card drag cards in the game right now. 3 Confront. This card comes up a little bit less in this deck, but it definitely can come up. So you still got to play it, and it's at the very least just a turn 1, draw 1 that digs you towards your Eons or whatever else. 3 Mobilize and 3 Eons. This is just ramp spells. The Mobilize is actually kind of mid, but the Eons are obviously very good. I do miss having more ramp spells. Like in Yi, you have more ramp spells, but you know, you can play the full 6 and still get pretty good results. Now for the top end. So that's it for your setup, right? You have this fat stack of removal here, or like interaction, and then you have this fat stack of like setup or card draw. Mostly card draw, because these are kind of card draw in a sense as well, but they can also be ramp earlier in the game. Interaction, setup, card draw, and then for the rest of the deck, you've got your units, 3 Mind Splitter. This is probably the best one because it just hand rips people. So it's good on curve or it's good off Aurora. 1 Anivia, I think it's called Anivia. I don't have an English one. I was planning on getting one before the tournament, but this guy kind of wraps boards. It's pretty important against Victor. You could play more than 1. I'm only on 1. I don't think more than 1 is bad. You could side more than 1 depending on like what you expect, but Anivia, I don't know what this card is called. I don't remember the name. I should have looked it up. But when it swings, it deals 3 to all of the enemy units there. So it's really good against tokens or like little guy strats. And I think it's important to main 1, at least 1. For the rest of the units, I'm playing 2 Soul Gorger. So the reason I'm on 1 and 2 of these is because drawing Soul Gorger isn't always great. And oh no, drawing Soul Gorger is pretty great, but hitting Soul Gorger off of Aurora when you have nothing in the grave is kind of ass. So I've elected to cut 1 Soul Gorger and go for 1 of the bird. It just like improves your Aurora statistics a little bit. Obviously Soul Gorger is insanely powerful. It's part of the reason to play this deck. And it's the reason why we're on 7 purple as well. Because when you play Soul Gorger and you bring something back, for example a Mind Splitter, you can only bring it back if you can pay the recycle cost as well. So you have to pay 4 purple, or you have to recycle 4 purple. And then 3 Deadbloom Predators. I mean, this is the top end guy, right? Like he comes down, he's kind of your stabilizer. He's a pretty good draw, and he's great to hit off of Aurora, which are the last 3 cards. So that's pretty much the build. I mean, it's very straightforward. It's very basic, very standard, but I think it'll get you the best results game 1. Depending on the meta that you predict, you could adjust things by adjusting the count of gusts, and you could also adjust things by adjusting the count of like Soul Gorgers in this guy. Because I think Soul Gorger is more of a late game card, like really late game, and this guy's more good against like tokens or like aggro strategy. So it depends on like what you predict to face. For the most part, I think this is the best default configuration, and then you can adjust post-board accordingly. You will need at least 4 cards to side out, or 4 cards to side in against bigger matchups, because you have 3 gusts and the bird. You could technically leave the bird in, but he kind of sucks in the bigger matchups. So you could side out, you have to side out these in the bigger matchups, but you know, as long as you have 4 cards to side in the bigger matchups, your matchup against aggro shouldn't be too bad. And then you can maybe add a few cards to your sideboard, like extra sabotages or whatever, to help deal with their interaction for your Aurora. The deck felt pretty consistent in testing. I've only tested it against Kaisa, Victor, Master Yi Midrange, Master Yi Aurora, and Jinx and Set. And it felt good in all of the matchups except for Victor and Jinx. And I think Victor and Jinx gave it a little bit of trouble for sure. Victor's kind of the reason we're playing 1 of this and 2 of the Bullet Time. Because I actually think Bullet Time is like, generally speaking, it's a good card, but it's a double-edged sword, and if you are forced to use it early, it's not good for you. It's very bad. It's usually game losing if you're forced to use it early. So it's not an ideal card to have until you're already set up. And having too many cards that are only good when you're already set up is not exactly where you want to be. However, just recycling 1 rune and nuking a bunch of tokens is obviously pretty good. Or 2 runes nuking a bunch of tokens against Victor is pretty good. So the deck feels strong. The game, unfortunately, very inaccessible. It's hard to find the cards. Like I said, I've been trying to pick up the cards here and there, and I still don't have a single purple rune. I do have 5 of the nice body runes, but yeah, the cards are hard to find. They're expensive, but there are going to be reprints in December, as far as I know, and people will be able to get the cards and they'll be able to experience this really lovely game because it's a blast to play. Hopefully we'll be posting some gameplay footage soon. I'm going to be doing a lot more content on this channel in the coming weeks because it's Edison off season, if we're being real. A lot more Pokemon, a lot more Riftbound, and then maybe some general TCG stuff as well. Maybe like a trading card game tier list. If you guys want to see more content on this channel that's like geared towards you specifically, let me know in the comments below if there's something you want to see specifically, like if you want to see a certain deck or if you want to see a certain game covered. Let me know. I'm open ears, and I'll see you guys in the next vid. Peace.